Hello there. Welcome. Now, a recent survey of future outlook for accountants returned a verdict that employment of accountants, auditors, is projected to grow by about 7% from year 2020 to 2030. Well, that's about as fast as the average for all occupations. Not a few people are really opining that the human element of the profession will be disrupted by technology. Yes, accountancy, like every other professions. But if you really look at it critically, accounting teams won't be so much replaced by robots as augmented. AI tech, robots as augmented. I am really not sure that our accounting teams will be replaced or be so much disrupted. Why do I say so? Because I think automation is ideal for the kinds of mind-numbing, repetitive tasks that you don't need degree accountants, an FCA, an ACA, CPA, ACCA to do. Automation, in my view, gives accountants the time and the bandwidth to do more interesting work and to add value. And at this point, I have to apologize to our online listeners that our original guest that was advertised, Mr. Awoyemi, did his utmost best, having just graduated from NIPSS in Jos, traveled all the way from Jos by road to try and make this. But alas, he's not been able to. And he has asked that I express his personal regrets that is happening. And he's going to be with us in some other episodes. But that notwithstanding, joining me as our guest in this guest interview segment to throw insights into these interesting subjects of the accountancy profession, technology, and the future of work is no other than Dr. Olawale Awe, FCA. Dr. Wale Awe has been involved in jobs relating to providing solutions to corporate organizations, government agencies, educational institutions, and international organizations as lecturer, top executive, as a director, as a trainer, as a consultant. And his research interests are in corporate governance and fintech. We are going to be unveiling more about our guests very shortly. Also in this episode, we naturally will show you a few things that we have on our social diary. Prime amongst that will be our first accountants conference that is coming up towards the end of this month, November 29 through December 3. We're going to be hearing a little bit more about it. But more important for our listeners and our online guests, please take note of the flash that will come in terms of adverts. We can advertise your products and your goods, and it's going to reach the whole nook and crannies of our globe. Take note of those numbers. Take note of those emails. We shall soon be back with you, with our guests. Welcome once again. Thank you. Nice to be back with you. And happy to unveil my esteemed guest, Dr. Olawale Azikwale Awe. Dr. Wale Awe, you are most welcome to ICAN on Air.
Thank you, sir.
Very nice to have you.
Thank you.
And in this era of disruption, dislocation, of course, our accountancy profession is cannot be left out. And in your research, in your teaching, in your dissemination, especially in the area of fintech, I know you must, of course, have a lot of hands-on in terms of accountants coming to you, or you seeing accountants scared of losing their jobs. I'd like to ask you pointedly, Dr. Wale Awe,
Yes.
Because in the last 10 years, we all know technology has revolutionized the practice of accountancy.
Yes.
Can you please give us some insight into these changes and how they have redefined the work of an accountant in practice and in employment?
Yeah, thank you, my moderator. The changes are tremendous, and they are all encompassing. If we look at the average person, especially the younger generation, even there was a time you got to go to the bank before you can cash money. Then ATM came. With the ATM, you still go out, but you may not have to queue inside, but queue outside. Then came the era of internet banking. Then of recent, fintech came up. Though it started about 12 years ago in the US, but it came up recently, and it's all over the place with Paga opening the door. Now, with internet banking, even before fintech, you could send money, but you are still limited. But as of today, you send money at the click of the button. People open accounts in fintech organizations or firms that don't even have physical presence, except for administrative headquarters. So accountants are faced with AI taking over the whole place, and we have nothing to do but to go along. With AI, even on the phone, your phone you are using, when you are typing, to be making suggestions to you, correcting grammar, suggesting. When you are even sending email, the system will be telling you, suggesting names that you got to copy on your mail. We have robotic process automation, which allow us to use drones in the workplace to take stock rather than going physically, especially in areas that are dangerous for humans. You send machines to go and do the work. We have cloud computing. Clients have no choice but to put the accounting system in the cloud. And if you are auditing such a client or consulting for them, they're not going to give you books to look at. You got to go into the cloud too. Look at the documents and review it in the cloud. If you are not in the cloud, you are in trouble. Then the data are becoming enormous. An average fintech firm will process 10,000 transactions in a month. How do you audit such an organization? Are you going to take sample? How do you know which transaction you should look at that are outliers? So you also must be online. You must be in the cloud. You must have tools to do big data analytics and extract information from unusual channels so as to audit your client appropriately and also to advise them. Advice is now just-in-time advisory services. If you cannot advise just in time, you won't meet up with the client of today. They are tech savvy and they are young. They want it now. Because a 24-hour delay will cause a lot of losses. So, and there are competition all over the place. As of now, we have 250-something fintech firms in Nigeria. So we are not lagging in that area. And are you saying as an accountant, I won't have clients among them? The banks too are collaborating with fintechs. Everyone is now going into space. So it is here with us. It is reality, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we got to be on at alert and work towards being in charge of our profession. If not, others will come in. Zenith recently came up with its own visual assistant called Siva. You know, we have so many other assistants. Apple has its Siri, and Google has its Eliza. So we have assistants all over the place. And Japanese are coming up with robots, human robots. You see somebody are walking along the street, it's not a human being, but a robot. And very soon people will be using robots as bodyguards or security guards in their houses. I'm here now. My house in the up country. If you enter the place, I see you on my phone. That's the level technology has got it to. And accountants can't just sit by and allow others to take over his profession. And blockchain technology is threatening us, because with blockchain technology, you're talking of triple entry. So nobody can go there and change the entries. You can't, because it's linked together. The blocks are linked together like in a chain, with a chain. So you can't go back and change. So what do we do? When a company says, after all, my records are okay, I don't need an auditor, then you are in trouble. So we got to wake up and move in. The thing is disrupting industry, and we are not aloof. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those insights. And if I look at it from the gamut of what you have outlined, disruption, adaptation is required of accountants. Now, if I may ask you, for those who have qualified for quite a little while, because we are now in the age of the modern, our children are much more adaptive than some of us who are much, much older. Even pressing the phone and doing some remote things is a bit of a challenge for quite a number. So, if that is so, in one word, what the hell is the future for such level of professional accountants? They are not techie enabling. They are slower in adapting, yet they have what I would like to describe as experience that you cannot even replicate in any way by way of technology. So we are liars, as we say, the future of such professional accountants.
Yeah, they have a bright future. What my advice to such accountants, because they have what it takes, they have the technical know-how, is to embrace technology. You don't have to go to school. Employ an IT person in your firm. Then when you want to employ trainees that are IT savvy, that are technology savvy, that love technology. So it is hands-on experience. Unfortunately, technology today is made such that anybody can operate it. For example, you want to schedule a Zoom meeting. It's not rocket science to schedule it. You can go online and then you type what you want to do, and you see a lot of people or sites telling you how to go about it. So what the accountant should do is to acquire this technology. For example, my clients are in the cloud. What do? I also must be in the cloud. Then call a tech person who will put you through. And you are in the cloud. There are so many firms in Nigeria now, apart from the big four and the middle ones, that they are small, but they are taking technology on. And when you get to their firm, they put their work in the cloud. When their clients their staff are on the field, they download anything they need from the office from the cloud. You start from there. Once you're able to put your own records in the cloud, and you download from cloud to use it anywhere, anytime, and your staff are doing so, by the time you get to the client's office, it won't be new to you. Then you'll be able to cope. You'll be able to download their records and use it in the cloud. So you can work anywhere. That is what COVID-19 did to all of us. Work has to progress, and we got to allow business to move on. So you see people now sending records, clients sending records to you to work from your office. They don't even want you to visit them. And then some want you to train their staff. They don't want physical contact they didn't want physical contact during that time. So you got to train them online. And with that, many accountants have come to use some of these tools. They are not really out of tune as we think. So many of our people, they have come up. Some will become auditors and they discover that the records of their staff are not on paper anymore. What will he do? He goes back and learn the skill. The problem with our people now is the charges are too low. So you got to bring up your charges to match the kind of technologies you are deploying. If not, you won't be able to cope because you won't have the financial capacity to invest into technology so as to catch up with your clients. As to accountants in employment, they are also to help their organization to come up, to match with other organizations. If not, the company will be experiencing dwindling revenue. I remember my children in the university, what do? They have account with the older banks. They jettisoned those accounts and they went and opened with fintech companies. So now when I want to transfer money to them, they prefer me using those ones. Because that is where you are seen to belong as a young chap. So if they would, even though your bank is still rendering the same service, they don't want to belong. Immediately you mention the old generation banks, they switch off. They want to go the fintech way because everyone working there they are their age mates, they can relate with them, they speak the same language, and that is the way the world is going. And we must fit in. If not, we'll be out of tune.
Oh yeah, you ship in or you ship out, as the case might be. Except those older generation looking at management of change, which has to be direct, focused, and then cannot be avoided. Quite interesting in the statement you made towards the closing of your remarks there, and that's the fact that yes, technology in the long term may be competitive and cheap. But initially, it comes a bit expensive, and so you need to value price. You need to value price that experience that you have in there, so that you are, you are able to break even. Now, definitely, there is no technology, there is no advancement, there is no shift in paradigm based on history that I know that don't have their downsides. Okay, we're just talking about technology, remote workforce. I know techie companies and I know startups that are not just smiling to the banks home and abroad, not with a grin, but with a wide world. And definitely, when they work remotely from home, there has to be some downsides.
Yes.
What do you consider to be the downsides of this trend?
Yeah, apart from the staff that are working from home, who may not put in the concentration that is required in doing your work, there will be distractions here and there. Some of the people who work for us from home, they are freelancers. They could service you and also your competitors. And this brings the problem of confidentiality of information. You may not be able to guarantee the confidentiality of your information with freelancers. And with staff, while he's working, the child comes on to disturb him, and he loses track, he loses trend. There are distractions from the neighborhood. Then there is also the difficulty of keeping best employees. The very good ones. Some of them are resigning in some developing countries, and they are going freelancing. They know they can service 3 or 4 companies at the same time rather than sit down with one company. And this is a threat. So the good ones have the feeling that I can be on my own and service you and collect fees rather than being an employee. Then we have cybersecurity issues. What of problems of hijacking information during transmission? Because everything is online. And then your client information too. You send information to client, it may not, the leakage may not come from your side. Client may feel the leakage is from your side, that you didn't put enough security apparatus on your systems, and therefore it leaked at your side. So accountants need to work on security issues. And that means we got to consult, we got to also employ IT professionals who can take on this and help us put the knots where they should be, and everything will be all right.
Fantastic point you raised there, and because the issues surrounding client confidentiality, trusts, ethics, also must. After all, ICAN, we are integrity and we are accuracy. That integrity aspect must be seen in all the things that we do. I go back for the benefit of our listeners and students who are on. Our profession, like other professions, we are being counters. Okay, we are the conscience and we are the custodians of sensitive information, data that can be used, applied in scientific ways so as to be able to engineer results. But technology has come. Like you said, if you don't move along with the trend, you are disrupted and you are out of business.
Yes.
And so non-accountants have started providing accounting services. Indeed, the difference between professional accountants and other professionals is the provision of business information, which has now become blood. Given the reality of that, how can the professional accountant stand out from the holoi-polloi, the jet sums, the FloD sums? I'm talking about the non-accountants. How can the professional accountant stand out from them?
Yes, the professional accountant must start providing IT backbones, even for clients. The Big Four have started working along this line. They are working with IT, big mega IT companies like Microsoft and IBM, Watson, to provide backbones, even for their clients. Backbones for blockchain technology, because this is necessary. And we are at an advantage position as at the time we are talking. I spoke of the use of drones to take stock. Some audit firms, accounting firms are providing this service now. They have drones, and when their clients want to take stock, they make the drones available. That's a way of making yourself relevant. They've also gone into natural language processing applications. What does natural language processing applications do? Instead of scanning, reading through millions of meetings and board meetings, the app will go into this document and extract needed information and then summarize it for the auditor. In this way, the auditor, because we have been there before the other professionals can come in, we must be proactive, look ahead, be the accountant of the future, and begin to work on what we can do now before other entrants can come in, so that it won't look like the fintechs disrupting the banks in providing banking services. And some accounting firms have started vending accounting application system, accounting softwares to their clients. So because we are in a better position to install these applications and customize them to fit into the client's needs. At times, you go into some client situations, they install applications, but they didn't involve accountants. And you discover that the financial statement that come out of it, the client will now use Excel to prepare the financial statements, which is not right. But if an accountant is involved ab initio, it will so customize the application such that the financial statements that will come out will be in the form and format that you need for your management, for your board, and for the regulatory authorities.
Super.
These are the areas where we have advantage.
Okay.
Non-accountants will not be able to customize such software in a way that the reporting statements will come out in the format required. It takes this knowledge that we talk about to do that. And that's where we have the edge. That's where we can actually go into now so that others will not come and take our job away from us.
Fantastic point. And I tell you my personal experience. We had this bit of a running battle. Say, I can, yes, we can. And then we have others who are dotting our landscape. And usually, because we went through those ranks, we failed to be able to pass and passed and learned from the experience of elders. So when we are now confronted to real customized environments that you've just spoken, where it's going to be sports, it's going to be food and confectionery, where it's going to be logistics, you see members of the Institute of Accountants dazzling and showing like Red Lion. Fantastic. So, like you said, we must always be one step ahead. Now, let me ask. Some people have always said, well, we accountants, serious-minded, conservative, when it is raining, we first of all say maybe it is due. Let's be sure that the rain is pouring for us to know that can fertilize our farms. That is the extent to which we are taking. And so the average person looks at the accountant as being straight-jacketed. So debits or the credits. In between becomes suspense. But to what extent have technology advancements, helped us as accountants outside the profession of accountancy? How can professional accountants take advantage of technology that we know, plus the experience that we have, outside our field, so that we are seen as solution providers, entrepreneurs, and people who solve other people's problems, including political problems that people get themselves into a particular maze and they are made not accountable. How can it happen?
Yes, let's look at a very recent example that most Nigerians can relate with, especially the younger generation. Recently, Big Brother Naija program, when they do their voting, one of the big four comes on to read the result. That is a very good example. There was a time federal government had to involve one of the big four to review the records of the seaport concessioning, the revenue coming from there. So there are so many ways, things that we can do. We can help in validating voting results during elections. We can help in business development skills, entrepreneurship. We can put people through how to start a new company. We are also involved in liquidation and receivership. So there are so many ways that we can use our experience to still help. For example, government budgetary system. We got to develop ourselves such that we will be called upon before the government can do its budget to come and help, because of the technology that is involved now. They know that we have all that it takes to do the work, which they don't have. We have the technology, and we'll be able to marry our technology with the existing data in the economy to come up with a budget that will not leave anything outside the system. But ordinarily, the civil servants may not be able to do it the way we do it. Look at tax audit. Government is already using accountants in tax audit. But in the past, they use their staff, the civil servant, but they discovered that we add more value. These are areas where we can come in and we add value to business. And very soon, a lot of textbooks on accounting and accounting related subjects will become out of date. And we got to write books. You know, Coopers and Libran, they wrote a book on auditing that we use during our time. So firms may now start, bring up their audit manual, bring out their best of hands and begin to write. I see many of the big four writing of fintech, writing of disruption in technology, because they have invested. Their research team has worked on it. So our people are not really sleeping. But the point is, how will the smaller firms fit in? So that's the problem. Yes.
Fantastic point. Let me thank you in passing. You just started nostalgia in me when you talk about Coopers and Libran, now PricewaterhouseCoopers. You know, back in the day, those experiences are still on. Auditing through, auditing around, gaining an understanding, and what have you. I am also glad. Mr. Aware, that our new ICAN, we talk about it in terms of old charter, new chapter, and our vivid lady leading the profession today, Mrs. Comfort Oluweyitayo, CPA, CPE, FCA, MNI, is already building on the forte that came by way of entrepreneurship. And one of the key aspects of that is just looking at entrepreneurship. And I can say, in alignment with you, some of us shine like stars. I remember one of the past president of the Institute, Mr. Bajomo, when he was in the House of Reps, gets up, makes a point, and talks about accountability, and everybody is just wondering what is he talking about. Chicken is now coming home to roost. And our online participants, if you are just joining in, this is ICAN on Air. We are here disseminating information, disseminating knowledge, and looking at that critical subject of technology, the accountancy profession. And is there a future for work for us? Please, let's continue. Now, you mentioned blockchain technology, the chain and the block put together, and that has redefined and impacted the practice of accountancy. Virtually, now, what does the emergence of blockchain technology hold for the audit and assurance providers?
The blockchain, from our knowledge of how it works, is the backbone for cryptocurrencies. Actually, without blockchain, no cryptocurrency. Now, what of our central bank digital currencies? It will run on the blockchain. Now, what of our ledger systems? Because the ledger system of the future will run on blockchain. And that means that if the transactions or the data on the blockchain are immutable and they are irreversible, they are interconnected, you can't remove them because you have to go to every other transaction and remove and alter and go back to the chain that preceded and that followed. Is difficult. So with this, what are we going to do? It is a plus for us. As I said earlier, accountants have to champion the usage of blockchain. Go into the technology, invest into it, and become a provider of blockchain services. Then go to your client office. What are you now going to do? It's just like when we were auditing, when the computer came, apart from the controls inside the computer, What of the controls around the computer? What of the controls around the blockchain technology? So we have to look at that. What of the controls inside the system that supply information to the blockchain technology? These are the areas where we still function. We have a lot to do and we have a lot to contribute. The blockchain actually is a digitization of what the accountants have been doing with pencil and paper before now. And therefore, we are in the best position to actually put others through on its usage. And as time goes on, you will see that the audit firm will now become a quasi-tech firms. Okay, look at what is happening in fintech today. MTN, Airtel, and all of them, they are licensing PSBs, payment service banks. Why? Because without technology, technology is the backbone of fintech. And when the government discovered that these people are the backbone, allowing them to run fintech firms, they'll be able to do it. Then they gave them the license. Whoever thought the likes of MTN could run a fintech company? So that is the thing. We are there. Blockchain is the future. There's no escape. We just have to follow it. When computer came in, we were talking of analog accountants and digital accountants. There's no analog accountant anymore. You are either digital or you are not an accountant.
You're either digital or you are dead.
You are out of space. That is it.
Okay, and Mr. Shola, but you know, in all of this, it will appear talking big. You have to be big. You have to have the muzzle. Okay, you have to have the knowledge. Quite right. So you have to have the focus. And what happens to the smaller farms? How will the smaller farms who are just trying to make their way out there, are they not going to be crowded out naturally, or are they going to be swallowed?
They are not. They are not going to be swallowed. You know, technology has a way of giving the smaller new entrants the opportunity of coming up and competing with the bigger ones. That's why the fintechs are giving the banks a big battle. How? Because technology requires that you are lean, you are smart, that you are not carrying big weight for you to function. What we are doing in some banks where you have let's say 50 employees, you now do with 2 employees. In fact, the whole system is automated. The system does everything for you. You can now open an account online, apply for loan online, get your assessment, because the IT companies, what do? They do their data analytics. They go into your Facebook account and they'll be able to use your Facebook to assess whether you are the kind of person that can be trusted. And on the basis of that, they determine whether to give you loan or not. Psychologists are involved in the designing of these issues. They design the technology such that they look at your account and they'll be able to tell the kind of person you are using technology and psychology. And at the end of the day, they will take informed decision, which in most cases are 90-something% right. It's been proved that even in the play of chess and other games, that machines are now beating humans, and their error rate is lower. That was one of the big 4 did, and there was a research on it. You know, they discovered that the stock that was taken before now, using about 690-something hours, you now use 18 hours to take the same stock. And the error rate is 0.0% instead of the 0.5% before, 0.03%. That's a huge difference. It's faster, it saves time, and at the same time, the error rate is lower. Because, yes, machine cannot experience fatigue, machine cannot experience boredom, machine will just be loyal and do your work for you. And it's not mechanical, it's electronic.
Except that it will do as I say, sometimes not as I wish to
No,
say.
no, no,
And
no, 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 no. You have
there
to
is,
specify.
you have to specify so that it's not going to be garbage in, garbage out. I
No, no,
understand
no,
that.
no,
But
no, 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 no. You specify.
exactly. And
Yes.
your specification therefore means that your digital analytics, your forecasting ability,
Very good.
like you have said, has to be well sharpened. Have
Yes.
to continue to be a continuous improvement.
Yes.
But these are fantastic things. Initially it was like an incubus that people were saying, can I get onto it? I've seen
Mm.
situations where people of experience, they are not techie enabled, but sometimes they say, okay, if that is the way you are going, please look at these other scenarios, like the white and the black
Mm.
keys of piano. The orchestra has to be played, and so people must naturally move on. Now, if you still come back and look at technology in this changing, which is rapid. You've talked about AI. We have a role to play. Data analytics, forecasting, and such that if an accountant goes in there with his innate knowledge, forecasts, almost invariably, it may not necessarily be 100% as one expects in terms of results, but almost most of the time, you know that unless you had a force majeure, it always comes out the way it should come. And the accounting standards and curricula is changing, but very slowly.
Yeah.
How can the professional accountant wade through this challenge?
Yeah. There's a point we need to even make now. And the point is that technology has come to help accountants. It's a beautiful marriage. It's not going to displace us, though there will be disruption. Disruption is different from displacement. The AI, the machine learning, and all that, when they have finished their work and the result is out, accountants will now base their advice on the output. Non-accountants will find it difficult to speak to those figures and outcomes. It's just like a non-accountant speaking to ratios. It is still the accountant that will speak to them in the face of the circumstance. So the job of the accountant is not going to be taken away. The only thing is accountants are going to use technology to its advantage. Now, coming to the accounting standards, they will be reviewed. Actually, even now, there's nothing limiting accountants from the use of technology in the standards. It's open.
Hmm.
Yes, the standards encourage us to use technology. Though over time, some of they keep review the standards anyway. They will review the standard, use the right technological terms, so that
Mm-hmm.
it measure up with what is going on currently. But
Oh,
no,
super.
the standard has not precluded the use of technology.
Oh,
So
there is absolutely no limitation, and
no limitation.
which is exactly what you are saying. The sky should
Yes,
naturally be a limit. But what should the International Federation of Accountants, I'm talking of IFAC,
yes,
principal accounting officers, the PAOs, do to sustain the relevance of their profession in this scheme of things?
yes. IFAC and the professional accountancy organizations like ICAN, they have a lot to do.
Hmm.
And this program is one of it. ICAN on Air.
Hmm.
We are disseminating information to members now,
Hmm.
including students. They know
Hmm.
what to expect. They know what is before them. And
Hmm.
therefore, in fact, as we are speaking, some graduates of computer science today will be thinking of that means I can become a chartered accountant. That means
Hmm.
there is that means there is a marriage of convenience between accounting and IT. And they will come
Hmm.
on board. And those are the
Hmm.
people that will help shaping the profession of tomorrow,
Hmm.
apart
Hmm.
from those of us that are already there. So
Hmm.
the technology has come to stay. and technology will help us, will play a role in helping accountants to deliver.
Super.
If I have a client like First Bank and or UBA or whatever with so much data, and the data is in the cloud, I don't need to pick samples. I will use technology to look at all the records 100%, and then there will be outliers, and then I'll pick the outliers and work on the outliers alone instead of looking at everything. The system will look at everything and bring out outliers. So I have no problem at all. So that means I have access into all the processes, the data, and the procedure of the client. There's no limitation with technology.
Fantastic
Yes, no
point.
limitation.
I always said accountants produced by the institute. Okay, that is not limiting in any way. Those who train outside, of course, they can only be brought inside. And I see situations where we are global thinkers, but we act locally in terms of the way we can interpret. And accountants are all there. The experience is all there. And then when you see this blend, just like you said, of the accountancy profession and technology, Nigeria should naturally, no need to reinvent the wheel. Talk to ICAN. And then you know you can. Time is not our friend here, and Mr. Awale, I just wanted to have your last word on this subject.
Thank you. Really, this is a beautiful day. I'm happy to be here. I give kudos to the Institute for what the Institute is doing. I'm not surprised. The Institute is one of the founding members of IFAC, and our president herself is an IT person. You remember the day of computer technology, TCI, technology initiative and all that, technology competence initiative. She was one of the people that started the program. So I'm not surprised that she's bringing in all this. We, as accountants, we don't act locally anymore. That's the last word I will chip in.
Thank you very much.
No, because the whole world is a global village. No acting locally. That is what I will underline as I sign off.
Thank you very much.
My moderator, the anchor person, you did very well. This is a sweet program, and the Lord will see you.
Thank you very, very, very much. And like I always say in my public outpourings, when it comes to the 4 C's, character, capacity, competence, and compassion, come to ICAN, come to say it. And I'm happy that you mentioned Mrs. Ulu Itayo. Compassion is running through, taking care, making sure that carry everybody along. If any of us eventually beat the dust, she recognizes that. I'm so very happy. Now we'll be taking a bit of a video break, thanking our guests, and of course we're going to be calling him back sometime to shed more light. We go on break, stay on. We still have a few more things that we are going to unveil for you and to you on this program. This is ICAN on Air. We'll be back shortly.
There must be a wealth shift by unlocking the potential of the youth. We must not see the youth as risk. We must see the youth as assets.
Thank you for staying on, and I believe you must have gained more insights and more understanding into the subject at hand. And I want to thank particularly online participants. Thank you very, very much for your comments. Like it's been displayed, 51st Accountants Conference is arranged to be getting together the cream de la cream. You don't want to miss it. You just don't want to miss it. That is where things are going to happen. Our next offering is going to be this coming Thursday, November 25th, 2021, 6 p.m. West African time. And venue will still be online on the ICAN social media handles. Please remember to go there, like. When you like, pops in and our live streaming comes to you. And our guest for next week is going to be Mrs. Mosumbelo Olushoga, FCA, the immediate past chairman of Access Bank, and she will be dealing with the subject corporate governance practices, board leadership and value proposition. You don't want to miss it. Now consider this, and I quote, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." End of quote. That is Abraham Lincoln. And I always say, be the change you would like to see. I remain yours sincerely, Aki Fatunke, your anchor, ICAN on Air. Bye for now.
My distinguished member, it's no longer news that our nation is going through a tough time. The economy, insecurity, infrastructure decay, unemployment, name it. Trust is lost between the government and the governed, between enterprises and clients. As professionals, we can no longer fold our arms while things go wrong. We need to stand and be counted by offering the government our expertise to find a lasting solution to this myriad of problems. To this end, the Institute is dedicating its 51st Annual Accountants Conference as a platform for technocrats to x-ray the nation and profile workable solutions to these challenges. The theme of the conference, which holds from November 29 to December 3rd, is Trust in Governance. How can government earn our trust? Why not join our lead speaker, Mr. Akinwumi Adeshino of the African Development Bank, and other renowned speakers at the conference as we lay it all bare. I look forward to personally welcoming you at the conference. See you there, because it promises to be intellectually stimulating and experiential. Thank you.